Somebody else want to go?
Yeah, go ahead, Scott.
All right, let's do it.
So we're starting.
Will you click my phone off if you haven't already?
Yep.
Thanks.
Yep. You want to just throw it at you?
Sure.
Man, this is old.
I know.
Dude, are you just like one of those classics? Like you're just like, I'm just not gonna get rid of them.
Waiting for the 8 to come out first before I'm like, please live longer.
My
I want to go buy it.
my older brother and I, we hop over each other each time.
Yeah.
So he always gets the bad ones, like the 6S or the 7S,
Okay.
and then I always get the even numbers. You know, 6.
Are we doing the transition?
No, let's just start right on it, if that's okay with you, Scott?
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm starting right on.
Right on,
Right on
line
2. Yeah. Okay, good, let's stop right there. Scott, some nice things happening. Let's talk about the. We got screwed around a few times, right?
Yes.
And Zach saved our rear ends.
Yes, you did.
So let's look
Fix the
at the
problem.
transition from measure 77 through measure 8. There's this little 4-bar transition. And we're coming out of the mind knot part, right? Which is all in 2.
Yes, from 2 to 4.
From 2 into 4. Quarter note equals quarter note. So anytime you see something something in music, it looks like this. What does that mean? What is the phrase that we use to describe what's happening right here?
No intersection in the other
I mean,
side.
it means quarter note
Quarter note
equals
equals
quarter,
quarter.
but I don't know what the musical term for
The
that is.
normal musical term is metric modulation.
Isn't it, it's just stating, because before we were in, that cut time, now we've just gone back to simple time, so instead of being in, it's, anyway, so yeah, metric modulation.
Right, but this is,
It's modulating meter,
not necessarily.
no? Okay.
No, like remember in Alyssa's cantata Domino that we sang on Thursday
Yes.
during rounds? There was that section that said whole note, or
It was,
dotted half now equals whole. And so she had to decide, you know, based on period practice, what that was gonna mean. She ultimately decided that that was gonna be sesquialturo, which meant that what was previously the sense of one now became the feeling of the half note in the next bar, or that this would start to be subdivided. So this would mean if you're going cantate, do, mi, do, di, da, da, and all of a sudden this became half notes. Di, ba, di, ba, bi, ba, bi, ba, di, ba, ba, di, ba, ba. This is obviously a more complex one. This is very simple, quarter note equals quarter note. So if you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I want you to
So the tempo
practice,
doesn't change.
the tempo doesn't change whatsoever. And it's so critical that you are just like an absolute metronome in this section. D and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. So we're gonna learn a gesture called a stop and a prep. And it's gonna happen on beat 2, going into figure 8. So if you go 1, yeah, so it's gonna look like this. You're gonna essentially stop on beat 2 and you're gonna subdivide in the new tempo.
And you're doing this,
Okay.
measure 78 going into the new tempo. Measure
Yes.
72.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's gonna look like this. 1 and 2 and 1, 2, 3, 4. So your prep into
Oh,
79 is actually a quarter prep.
so you don't just tap, sorry, not tap, but you don't beat 4, I was thinking you beat 4 and 78 to get into that, you don't do that, so you stop on 2, you wait, and then you go into 4, you
Right.
don't do that the measure before to get into that,
Nope.
okay.
So-
could you make that decision to beat that measure before and 4 if you wanted to?
That's what I had written as well.
Because of the figuration in the trumpets and
But
the,
there's still some triplets.
there
There's
is,
still
but,
some quarter note triplets.
but you've established
I
that
would wonder,
already.
my comment would be,
But then
if I
again,
was a
singers
player and I saw the conductor start to do that, I would actually almost think I'm off by a bar.
Yeah.
Cause I wouldn't wanna see the subdivisions until I know I'm
That's
in
exactly
four.
the idea. Daniel?
Well, if I do that, it would be something that you would rehearse through.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But then again, I
Yeah.
have the other thought that it's a lot of times singers need help with their triplets.
That's what I thought so too.
Okay.
Singers need that kind of help. Whereas if you start beating against their 3, they're gonna go, what am I doing?
So in my experience, what I've done here, and Donna and I were actually just talking about this before we came in, is exactly what I'm instructing, and I've just trained the sopranos and altos to feel the triplet against the subdivision. Nor the mothers entreaties make even the tresses. So that you get, nor the mothers entreaty, did da da be da ba ba.
So like you're beating half of it and
Yeah,
2 and then the
because-
other half.
I was trying to pick that on some of the recordings I was watching, and I was trying to think, well, they're not, he's not actually conducting a four there, but he was doing this, exactly that little.
Subdivision on the
That's what it
end of
was.
2.
I couldn't figure that out, okay.
So if you go 1 and 2 and 1 and stop and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah.
So let's say that. 1 and 2 and 1 and stop and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Good.
One,
Yeah. That way you'll get more of a pop on the trumpet part that Daniel's talking about. Bop, bop, ba, da, da.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's all have Zach play and we'll conduct that together. So this is bar 77 where we're starting, Zach.
70,
2 before rehearsal.
Mine is
8.
1:30.
Yeah, 2 before 8.
okay.
Alan just said he wrote the numbers in wrong, it happens to the best of us.
No, I just kept going.
I think I wrote it
one
wrong,
up.
so-
So I was in the hundreds.
Is this the pickup to
So I'm gonna
80?
go and I'm gonna erase
So,
it.
rehearsal
Bars
8?
before 8.
Is bar 79 in my book.
Okay.
2 bars before 8 is bar
It's 2 bars before
77.
Correct.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Alright.
That's what I got.
What?
Yep.
2 before,
Okay, wait.
4, 4.
Here we go,
Who's
ready,
leading?
and 1 and 2 and 1 and stop and 1 and 2 Good, let's try it again. Okay. Good, let's try it again. Ready, and 1 and 2 and 1 and stop and 1 2 My opinion is that anything different than that starts to become very cumbersome. So if we try, Daniel, why don't you try what you were suggesting? Let's try conducting in 4 beforehand.
Okay.
Sister in the same place? See, that becomes tricky. Why don't you come up here and do it?
One thing I'm noticing is when he's in 2, he's actually going slower on the quarters, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, like it's
Good, so let's just try it.
this big leap.
Okay, good, now try it the other way. Good. 1 is a little more clear.
Huh?
Go ahead.
Was that, did you say that was more clear?
Yep.
Second one was more clear.
Can he do it
I
again?
feel like the flutes are missing their pickup though. They don't get the attack they need, because they're coming, dun, dun, dun,
Well, 1 and
dun,
they're
dun.
aiming for the 2.
B2.
If they're aiming for B2, they should be fine.
Yeah.
And then you're
Yeah.
subdividing for them.
Right. No, the mother's in tree, Bobby,
Interesting, I felt more confident the first one, but, you know, maybe just from practice, so.
Okay.
That's all it was.
To us, it looks much busier.
Okay.
And Scott's exactly right. You do start to wonder, uh-oh, why is he conducting faster all of a sudden when
Yeah.
I didn't see the metric modulation in my part until the next bar? So this is another moment of getting it to match what shows in their parts.
Yep.
Okay, but you do have to, Alan's exactly right. You gotta keep the quarter note exactly constant. 1 and 2 and 1 and stop and 1 and 2. Yeah.
That was a question I had because last, with the metronome, you mentioned practice with the metronome.
Yeah.
Um,
Thanks, Daniel.
yeah, but I wondered, when there's so many tempo changes, how you do that with metronome? You just, I mean, because I'm wondering, because I can't keep the metronome going the same tempo the whole time throughout this piece because it's changing and then,
Well, the movement stays exactly the same from the downbeat of the movement all the way through to the retardando that occurs in bar 97, right?
and so you would just,
I guess the feeling of 2 makes it feel like it's slower.
yeah,
Is that what it is?
that's what, yeah,
But it
sorry,
doesn't
that's
change,
what-
that's why it has that, stesso tempo at the top.
Yep. Stays exactly the
Yeah,
same.
the tempo stays the same.
Okay, so that was the problem.
So if you're going from
It felt-
one movement into the next, then yeah, you have to turn off the metronome.
Yeah.
You can't try to do
No,
that.
it was what Tom said, it was when I got to the
two.
the 2, it felt, I said, well, yeah, that's why,
Well,
I
no.
thought I was doing it wrong because it's a
It
slower,
felt
it
slower.
feels slower.
You've got
and
good
the-
instincts. What is it that
Yeah.
makes it feel slower? He's
The
written,
subdivision is
It's
different.
cut,
Yeah, yeah.
he's written in a sense of tactus. He's essentially written in a sense of augmentation. So, let's get into that. Let's,
That's a tricky section too.
yeah,
Sorry,
let's
Gerhard.
start at bar 66, make no parley. Alright. Make no parsley.
that's what I thought it was when I finished.
66,
I was
66.
like, is that
Yep.
supposed to be parsley?
Make no parley. What is, oh, I shouldn't admit, I don't know what parley is. What is parley?
Who's the poet?
Whitman?
Oh,
It's Whitman. She just gave you the answer.
so, I still don't know what parley is, but it comes from,
Do you speak French?
no.
What is the, in any Romance language, what is often the root that of parley or parle?
Speak.
Yeah.
Oh.
Speak.
And
Parlez
Make no
français.
speech,
Oh, I see.
don't
Yeah.
protest.
Don't protest. Yeah.
Do what you're told to do.
Make no argument.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, so, parley is a sort of a 19th century term for, diplomacy. When diplomats would come together, or representatives of two, like, warring groups would come together, and they'd, like, say, well, this is how you piss me off, this is how you piss me off, and then they, like, settle on the grounds of whatever their duel or their battle is gonna be,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is
Okay.
no negotiation.
Or
Yeah.
66?
66.
So are you giving our notes?
Yes, thank
Ready to
you.
make it right? Okay. So-
You know, rather than worry about singing, let's just follow in our scores and
Okay.
listen to Zach play.
Okay, cool.
so- I'm not sure we started at the same place.
Yeah, we did.
66, 3
Absolutely.
before 7, okay.
3 before rehearsal 7, yeah.
All right, so you're playing the piano part, so you're not playing the vocal part.
That's exactly right,
So
yeah.
I'm not
Do
Do
seeing
you want us to
everything.
speak the vocal?
We can
No.
speak.
No, it's done.
Because what I want your minds to be is on the metric modulation that occurs here, rather than worry about what note to sing or what words to say. And-
you are actually playing.
And Scott, what you have to feel is the constant quarter pulse
Okay.
that now becomes, the interior beat in mine not.
See, in practicing this, I've recognized I didn't do it fast enough, and I didn't feel the correct half note until like 73 is when it kind
I
of
see.
rounded itself out.
Yeah.
Okay, 66.
Super clear. That was great.
That was awesome.
Super clear. Can you watch that on the video? That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice
Good.
job.
Now, how do we get all the dynamic contrast in this, let's start with tempo section? First of all, what's the mode? He's playing with modes throughout this whole
Oh my
thing.
gosh.
Well, Lydia?
No. Starts with an L though.
Low green.
Low green. It's a low green mode.
And-
Because B flat in the tenor part really
Right.
sort of sends it through the roof. It's kind of crazy.
Wait, where are you talking?
Right at the bar 69.
Okay.
And who is the most important instrument throughout this slow, quote unquote, slow section? Yep. Says solo.
Oh, the solo.
Right. Anytime you have solo written in your score, that's a good opportunity to circle that part.
Yeah.
So that part's gonna come out of the texture. So, can you conduct at figure 7 and articulate the trumpet rhythm?
In 2.
Yeah.
Into.
No, no, but look at it carefully, because here is the trick. If you're feeling interior quarter beats, it's very easy. 1 and 2 and bop beep bop beep bop. But if you're just feeling 1, 2, then you're just looking at lots of fast notes inside.
Do you have
of a
that
measure.
in your panel?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's.
Okay, so right on 7.
Yeah. Good. Thank you very much. Now, without Zach playing, you go 1 and 2 and bum 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 bum. Okay?
Okay.
Try again.
1 and 2 and bum 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 bum.
Good. Exactly right. Exactly right. Now, can you cue the trumpet? So you start with the choir. Ma ha bum bee bum 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 bum. beep, ba ba beep, ba ba beep, ba beep, ba beep, ba beep.
I just lost what staff.
So everybody has to practice articulating the trumpet part through this slow section when you're feeling it in two.
Where is that?
These are the kinds of challenges that exist in instrumental music that don't often exist in choral music.
More rhythmic, more rhythmic subdivisions.
More rhythmic subdivisions. It's sort of like when you travel to another country with a foreign language and you don't speak that language, or you speak a little bit of it, and the first few days that you're there are just exhausting. You sleep like a baby when you're jet lagged because your brain is constantly like, what does that sign say?
Overload.
What's that person saying? I don't understand. Like, how do I speak to the cab? How do I go to the bathroom? It's just
I
like,
mean, it's kind of like going to this Masters of Music Club.
Yes, touche.
a whole other world where it's struggling to speak the language.
You think you know, but you know nothing.
Oh my
when you
gosh.
get there.
Alright, I made a
That's so
joke.
right.
That was good, Scott.
Yes, yes, indeed.
Now, when you come to figure 8, and you come back into 4, you go from forte to piano in a beat and a half. And this is where I really urge you to play with the size of your gesture. Everybody, I just don't mean you, Scott. Oh, the mother's entreaties. Shut up. Make Eve and her tresses to shake the dead where they lie awaiting her. Gotta play all back and forth because you go from forte to fortissimo in matters of just few beats.
So this section in particular.
Yeah. What are you envisioning in this slow section, Scott?
Paratroopers?
Paratroopers. All right. You know, to me, have you all seen the movie Saving Private Ryan?
Yep.
The first 20 minutes where it's the battle scene in
Ooh,
Normandy,
the beach.
and there's that scene where Tom Hanks gets shell shocked, and all of a sudden everything goes into slow motion, and it's like the sound cuts out. This whole poem is a depiction of a war battle, a Civil War battle. It's Whitman's response to the Civil War, and the fruitlessness, just the total folly of war. And
Was it the American Civil War?
yeah, the American Civil War. Yeah, British composer, American poet. In fact, Vaughan Williams cites a lot of Whitman's text. He was a huge fan of the Transcendentalist movement. So I hear this middle section, and I imagine that slow motion shell shock part of Saving Private Ryan, where it's like in the heat of battle, you faintly hear this trumpet. Beam, ba da dee da da dee da da. It doesn't make any sense because the whole choir is moving. Mind not the timid, mind not the weeper or prayer, mind not the old man beseeching the young man, mind not the mother's entreaties. I mean, all of the most gentle aspects of life just run roughshod over all of that.
How long is this total?
Piece?
Yeah.
About 40 minutes. 40
The
minutes
entire
piece.
piece.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
So all of a sudden, when we get to figure 8, measure 78, this syncopation that occurs against the triplet in the soprano and alto part is like we're coming out of a nap. It's like waking up from a nightmare, like, and you come up above water and you're in the heat of battle all of a sudden again. So Scott, why don't you conduct Make No Parley? We'll sing again, 66, with Zach playing.
Make no parley.
Ready?
Thank
know, he's building up the intensity. It's like this, you know, nightmarish moment where you can imagine just like this dead where they lie awake in the hearses, piles of bodies all around you. It's the most macabre sort of thing that happens. And then, of course, what happens on the downbeat of 85? What's the most important thing that happens on the downbeat of 85?
Besides
percussion.
everything?
Yes, Emma, exactly right. What percussion?
The cymbal,
And what?
the bass drum.
Right. Those two have not played in a little while.
For a while, yeah.
And they have not played a Fortissimo.
No, they should have.
at all.
They do.
I mean, that is a bass drum and a cymbal crash hit smash that should shake your insides loose. That, you know, that feeling inside your body when you like stand next to a subwoofer? That's what it should feel like, just like your stomach's dropping out in that moment. So strong you thump, oh terrible, drum, bop, 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 bop. And look at the musical alliteration he creates in 87. So strong you thump, oh terrible drums. What are the drums doing? Bop. Yeah. Thrum, 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 bop, 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 bop.
Yeah, it's the snare drum.
So loud, and then who comes in?
The organ.
Yep. So loud, your bugles blow. And Zach, will you play the accompaniment 88, 89?
Yes.
Just those block
and you-
chords. Back to that feeling of organum again, right?
Yeah.
It's just super medieval sounding. Medieval battles, like crusades, like just heartless, disgusting violence. Then at figure 9, what's the most important thing that happens?
Trumpet.
Trumpet.
Nah.
No drums.
The tremolo?
The trill.
The trill?
Drums, timpani,
89?
tenor drum, tam-tam, trill, 89.
Oh, 89, I'm looking
Wait,
at
at
90.
rehearsal night?
Rehearsal
Oh, rehearsal.
9, excuse me.
Rehearsal 90.
You've got vertical.
So,
Trumpet.
someone's got a solo.
Trumpet.
Tam-tam.
Tam-tam.
Oh yeah, I said tam-tam before.
Oh my gosh.
Not a Tim Tam, a Tam Tam.
How do you know a tam-tam?
Which just
sound?
I love 'em.
Which just has a half note.
Yeah,
That's a
that's
solo
one
for-
note solo.
A Tam Tam solo, what is
Yeah.
that?
It sounds like
Notes. I think he's shooting a gun.
it's a symbol,
No, it's
isn't it?
it's like a big gong, isn't it?
It's a big gong, but the difference between a gong and a Tam Tam is
The attack?
The,
No.
the depth
Origin
of
of the
the
instrument?
sounds, the deepness of it, no?
a Tam Tam is tuned.
Hmm.
Oh,
Tam Tam is tuned, a gong is not.
Okay. It shouldn't be.
Yeah, what notes does the tam
Yeah,
and
because
tune
it's,
I don't know, something.
to? Okay, so it's.
I think it's tuned so that it has like specific overtones and things like that, yeah. I don't know if it's tuned to a specific pitch,
Okay.
but that fortissimo smash on bar 90 is the climax of this entire movement.
Mm-hmm.
So loud, you bugles. It sounds like, you know, the immolation of the universe. the whole world is coming unglued in that moment. So, Scott, what I want you to work on is to try to change the size of your gesture dependent upon what's called for. And this is gonna mean that there are some times when you see forte and you can't conduct big, because the next measure is fortissimo, and that has to be more significant. You know, it's everything in moderation. Everything in moderation. I'll tell you guys this, and I'm a huge Vaughan Williams guy. Love him to death. But Vaughan Williams was notorious for over-orchestrating.
this is a bit much.
Yeah, it's a
This is-
very,
this is a bit
very,
much.
very big orchestration. And things can become muddy really fast. And if there's any criticism of Vaughan Williams, the composer, it was simply that in his earlier pieces, and this is sort of a mid part of his output, he tends to over orchestrate a lot, which means you as a conductor has to find ways in which to pull back what's supposed to happen. You know, you'll see, like at, there's some places where he's asking the choir to sing piano, and look at the whole texture. Like,
Yeah, we were talking about.
yeah, like, where's one of those places? Let's see. Oh, over the traffic of cities, this is bar 41, 42.
Yep, that's the spot we were talking
Over
about.
the rumble of wheels in the streets, every single damn instrument in the orchestra is playing. And he expects this choir to sing piano. It's still, even at an orchestral piano, it's just not really gonna happen. You have to ask the choir to sing out there, and you have to have the orchestra play down.
We were talking about this and wondering why he had them at, Fortissimo 39, and then the men at piano. We were like, why?
Man, I appreciate you bringing this point out.
Yeah.
But it seems like, to a certain extent, you're not supposed to hear the choir because the traffic's too loud.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's a great interpretation. I've never even thought about that before.
That's cool.
That's so good.
That's
That
great.
is cool, yeah.
And it's frantic too, like, if you're going 112, over the traffic of cities, over the rumble of wheels in the streets, all beds prepared for the sleepers and dead in the houses. You know, it's like the barn's on fire and you're trying to get everybody out. It's just, it can't possibly be understood. No sleepers must sleep in those beds, no bargainers bargains by day, would they continue?
It's a good point, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah, so fight to have dynamic contrast in what you're showing. Your tempi are right on, by the way. Really, really well done. Okay, good. Who else to go next?
Thank you.
Oh, Scott, don't forget the cymbal crash in bar 38.